Hello and welcome to the weekly GCN webinar. To take my class and learn more about how to be a working actor, please go to the link over there. There it is. There it is. Please go to that link. All right, now on with the show.
So hello, everyone, and welcome to the weekly Business of the Business webinar with GetCast Now. This week, we are welcoming the wonderful Shaun Leisher. Now, if you want a perfect summary of what Shaun does, in his Instagram bio, he calls himself a new play doula, and I am obsessed with that. But before we ask Shaun some questions, Shaun, thank you so much for joining us. And I would love you to, in your own words, even though new play doula is amazing, just tell everyone about all of the tons of jobs that you hold in theater and all of that great stuff. So start us off.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for having me.
I'm so happy you're here.
First, real quick, so New Play Doula comes, it was an inspiration from my good friend, Rachel Camp, who is a wonderful Philly theater artist, activist, just all around great human being. They call themselves a new play or a new work doula because they also do musicals and plays. So like right afterwards, I'm like, Rachel, can I steal the doula term? And Rachel was just like, well, I took it from someone else, so well, let's just pass it along. But yeah, so what do? I'm a dramaturg. I direct sometimes. I am a freelance producer. And producing just basically like, yeah, like the raising the money and getting places that will do play readings. I am a facilitator of I've done talkbacks.
That's an important job.
Yeah, woo-hoo! It's such an important job, and I really want to get better at it. I really want to So yeah, if anybody out there needs somebody who knows how to do a talkback, that's me.
I'm sure that a lot of people do, honestly, because they can get fraught. So
yeah, I mean, Onstage. Do you read the Onstage blog?
I do. I really love Onstage.
Yeah, they did I think last week they came out with one that's like the do's and don'ts of talkbacks, and I thought it was really, really good. And of course they did don't ask how'd you learn all those lines, or don't talk about the production of the show you were in high school 50 years ago. I mean, I could tell you stories of just like times where I've been in a talkback and I'm just like, it's not story hour. Let's get this moving.
So what do you do? How do you keep it moving along?
I made sure that I was there with questions, and we just talked. From now on, also, I really think talkbacks should kind of be like with a smaller group. It's just like, again, people who are staying for talkbacks, they want to sit and learn about the process. And they also they don't want to be there forever. They kind of want to get out to dinner. So wouldn't it be cool if just hey, what if we just did a talkback with the director or with the playwright? And I'm not saying that it can't be done well with the entire cast, but I've just seen way too many and sometimes the cast takes a little while to get out on stage, and we're clapping for every single one that comes and sits down. And I the most successful talkbacks I've seen are with one or two members of the creative team or the cast. It's very much moderated. I think it's best when you leave as little time for audience questions, if that makes sense.
I agree with you.
Because it's just they're just wild cards. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I never thought I would talk that much about talkback facilitating, but it's a big passion of mine.
But it's an important job. And I also, I haven't thought about talkbacks in a while because we've all been at home.
Maybe it's just when I was younger too, but I loved when they said, oh, if you want to stick around for the talkback, just come up to the front of the stage. I loved walking down the stairs from the balcony, you'd be like, I'm gonna sit in the front row. When you see open seats in the theater, will you be like, I'm gonna go sit in these open seats? Or do you have a policy of okay, 10 minutes before or do you do it maybe at intermission?
I'm a solid intermissioner. I'm a rule follower.
Same. I'm just even when it's even if they're already into the overture, I'm still somebody's gonna that seat's open. It's really, really much closer, but I just know halfway through the first act, somebody's going to be like, "You're in my seat."
It happened to me.
Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't someone coming in for their seat, but I was at Follies on Broadway, and I think I was in
Okay.
the last row of the theater. And
What
there was
theater was that in? Do you
that
remember?
was at the Marriott Marquis.
Oh, isn't that the one in the hotel?
Yes. Yes.
Tip, it's one of the best bathrooms in Times Square as well.
I tell everybody, you gave it away, Shaun. Now
Oh,
everyone's
I'm sorry.
taking our
I'm sorry.
bathroom.
Yes, everybody's going to take our bathrooms now. But we didn't tell them where it is.
Exactly. So very true.
Yeah, and it's
There's
like,
a lot
I don't
going
know
on
about.
in there. I feel like every time
So,
I've been there, I run into somebody that I know doing the same thing. So I guess
yeah.
it's not a great secret. But yes, I was
No.
seeing Follies, and
Yes.
it was during the overture, and there were so many open seats. And I was like, I'm just gonna go for it. You know, I'm a young student. Like, I just can't be in the back row. I can't see anything. And the usher caught me and was like, back to the back row.
Yeah.
And then I was too scared to move during the intermission too. So yeah, I'm a solid intermissioner now.
That's the worst thing. I mean, just like sitting in the back, and like, I understand they're cheaper and everything, but like, that's just like, that's why I don't like going to Broadway as much as I used to, because it's like, I just don't want to sit so far back. Like, I've been spoiled by like seeing stuff in Philly or seeing stuff off Broadway where like you get to like really be in the space and everything. The last thing I did see on Broadway was Oklahoma though, and Circle in the Square is a great, it's like a great intimate space.
I literally could talk to you about theater for hours and hours. So what I wanted to know is, it doesn't have to be the last thing you saw before the pandemic. Well, what's the most memorable thing you saw before the pandemic, during it, probably on Zoom, and what are you looking forward to the most to see once everything starts coming back?
Yeah, I'll just talk about the last thing I saw before the pandemic, which was C. Julian Jimenez. He wrote this beautiful play called Bundle of Sticks that they performed at Intar. It is a play about an Australian gay conversion therapy camp. And like all the characters were being performed as female identifying or non-binary actors. They're all from like various different countries. And yes, it was about like a very horrible subject matter, but like there were also like sparkly penises and just like there was dance parties and glitter. And if you know anything about C. Julian Jimenez's work, like, yes, he writes these very serious plays about the queer community and about queer history, but there's also a lot of joy in them too. And it was my first time seeing a show at Intar, which I've always like just been a fan of, like the work they do there. For those that don't know, Intar is I think either the longest running or one of the longest running theaters in New York that's solely dedicated to Latinx work. It's actually it's like right in Hell's Kitchen. I want to say on 52nd between 9th and 10th. But American Theater wrote a really great article about not just that piece, but also like that little part of Hell's Kitchen where like I think people are kind of sleeping on it. Where like you got Intar, you got right across the street, you got MCC, you got Ensemble Studio Theater down there. Normal Ave is one floor above from Ensemble Studio Theater. Like that's a really great theater district. The most memorable thing I saw during, I saw both of the Zoom productions. So I saw this play at Playwrights Horizon at the end of 2020 or beginning of at the end of 2020, I believe. Yes. And so Heroes of the Fourth Turning, I got to see it live, and I saw both of the Zoom productions, and I think it worked so well on Zoom. That also might be because the actors in the Zoom productions were the ones from the Playwrights Horizons production. So like these actors have had, like they weren't reading off the screen. They've had these roles for over a year. Danya Taymor's direction of it over Zoom was just so good. I could just listen to the dialogue of that play over and over again. And also shout out to the Wilma Theater in Philly did a site-specific filmed production. The Wilma Theater, their hothouse, which is their ensemble acting program, they got some of the best actors in Philly, and they
Agreed.
really knocked it out of the park. I know we've talked about the Wilma before, so
Yeah, so we talk
yeah,
about Philly a lot. Yeah.
yeah.
This leads perfectly into another question I had, which is like, there's so much good theater happening in so many other places besides New York. And so I feel like everyone needs to follow you on Instagram, because I feel like I know half the things that I know that are going on because you repost
Mhm.
them. So how do you stay abreast of everything that is going on? And like, it feels like you just know it all.
Reading a lot. I try and read 1 to 2 plays a day. Um,
Wow.
it's harder to do when I'm working, of course.
Mhm.
I'm a big supporter of the New Play Exchange, which I know for a lot of people, New Play Exchange could be intimidating.
Yes.
There's a ton of plays on there, and it's hard to know like where to start. That's why you kind of like I try and be aware of like, so how I find what to read on New Play Exchange. You got to watch for lists. You have to be paying attention, and I mean a lot of it's through Instagram. It's who you follow on Instagram. Follow the O'Neill Center. They just released their 2020 and 2021 list of semifinalists. Like make that your summer reading list. And what's really great about New Play Exchange is you can just be like, oh, I like this play, so what else does this writer read? Or you can be like, this writer has recommended other plays, so who does this writer like? So look at it that way.
Brilliant.
But yeah, like just paying attention to what different theaters are doing, what different and especially focusing on, yeah, don't look to Broadway. Don't look to Broadway to be where you're learning about stuff. Specifically to look to theaters that are doing developmental work. So I mean, page 73,
Yes.
Seven Devils, and a lot of these larger companies also have in-house writers group. So like the Public Theater,
Right.
they have the emerging writers group. So yeah, whenever they announce Ensemble Studio Theater, go
Yes.
through that list of Youngblood members and just look up their stuff on New Play Exchange. You'll find most of their plays on there. I think I said page 73, which is like they just develop some of the coolest stuff. I think they're like their most recent big thing was they helped develop a Strange Loop. So
Oh,
yeah, and like look at what your favorite plays are. Yeah, like go backwards with like your favorite shows and like okay, I mean Hamilton started the Public Theater. What does the Public Theater do? Pay attention to stuff that way. And like I said, a Strange Loop kind of has been developed with page 73. What is page 73 doing? Checking out what different theater like yeah, and sometimes like stuff will come out from out of town. You and I have talked about James Imes a lot, where I think James's stuff is getting done like all over the place. But like James is a Philly guy, so like pay attention to like what's happening in the different cities. Yeah, definitely like asking people. I'm so glad that the Drama Bookshop is open again, the new space. I haven't been yet. I'm gonna be going hopefully soon to visit. But yeah, go look at the staff picks.
I love looking at the staff picks.
Yeah.
Yes, brilliant.
I'm going to shout out to current employees at the Drama Bookshop, Emma Muller and Riley Elton McCarthy. They are two fantastic playwrights who work in the Drama Bookshop. And
wow,
like if you just walk up to them and are just like, hey, like what plays do you like? Or you know what, just read their plays.
I was gonna say how
yeah.
incredible. Yeah, like that's the kind of thing where I'm like, even though so much amazing theater is happening everywhere, I'm like, wow, New York, you gotta love it. Like you can talk to these people at the Drama Bookshop. It's so amazing.
People at Drama Bookshop. Something that I've learned a little too recently that I should have, but I never as recently as a couple years ago was when I found out that you could go to the New Dramatist library and just hang out there. Maybe it's not like open now, but New Dramatist in Midtown, you can just like during the week. Like I said, I don't know if it's open now, but you can just like hang out and like pick plays off of their shelves, and they're all like they're not published plays. So like they do plays by, like we were talking about Heroes of the Fourth Turning. So Will Arbery is part of New Dramatist. You can go in there and read a lot of Will Arbery's plays. Depending, there's some cases where it's not available, but you could also like take a play off the shelf and ask one of the interns to photocopy it for you. Yeah, talk to the interns there. And if you see, like, that's like another place where you're like, you'll find like playwrights just sitting there doing stuff. Like, I mean, I like try not to bother them because they might be working on a play, but if you're just
Don't bother the playwrights.
yeah, do not bother the playwrights, let them write their plays. But yeah, hang out where people are, where the people are.
I love what you said just now about, you like, work backwards from the theater that you already love.
Yeah.
So this is one of the main reasons I wanted to have you on as well. So everyone knows, and we're going to link everything in the description below. Shaun runs an incredible service for actors that helps you find monologues that you will actually love and that not everyone is doing and actually feel personal to you rather than, from a monologue book. And that's where you start. So I've used that service and I'm obsessed with I also just I'm obsessed with the plays that I now know about that you sent me. But that's where you started, is you say, all right, like what do you like in theater? Yeah. And we don't usually think about that when we look for monologues as actors. We're like, what's my type? When people come to you, what's something that you hear a lot that you're like, oh, I wish actors could think about that differently?
And this is something I think I'm particularly seeing with especially recent grads or current college students. And maybe it's naive of me because I mean, I haven't really been an actor and I haven't really been a part of this. So like, maybe I'm just super naive about it, but I want actors to like know that they can break out of these boxes that people have been trying to put them in for this long. There's a question that I'm giving away my secrets here, but there's my final question that I usually, so I mean, the way these calls work with actors is I ask them a series of questions. They kind of go from like, what have you been doing with acting lately? And what's your interest? Like what excites you about theater? Do you have like some actors that are like really, we talk about type, like favorite actors, and not like who you look like, who people have told you you're like, but like who are the actors that just really excite you? The last question I always ask is, do you want to work on a piece that requires an accent? And a lot of times, especially from younger students or from younger actors that are either still in the educational world of theater or just out of it, their response is, well, I can do this accent, I can do that accent. And I try and like really get them to think, I'm like, what do you want? Don't tell me which ones you can do or which ones, like, because I think there's a lot of times they're still in that headspace of like, yes, let me, what can I do to make you happy?
Yes.
I want to be everything to everyone. I'm just like, well, why don't you be who makes you feel good? And if working on a piece that requires an accent doesn't make you feel good, what if you didn't do it? That's okay. And I completely own that as a cis white male who also is not part of this acting world. So I don't, like I said, maybe it's just totally naive of me and just being like, well, no, you always have to talk about type and everything. But if for my little service, for a half hour, I can talk to an actor about strictly what they want to do and what interests them and what makes them happy, not how do I get myself better to impress so-and-so or to fit into so-and-so's box. I'm happy, and hopefully it's worth it for them.
Please, like, use this service. I can't say enough about it. I'm gonna keep coming back over and over again because honestly, like, the session, even before I got the monologues, taught me a lot about me. I want to turn one of your questions that you ask back on you and say, what, like, when someone's just like, even, I like that you said this in the session too, of like, it doesn't have to be a broad overarching term in terms of what kind of theater you like. You gave me the example of like, I like when the lighting is really pretty. Like, that's valid. What kind of theater do you like?
Scary stuff.
Scary.
Yeah, I'm really trying to get more into horror theater. And less in like camp. Like I think horror campy theater is fun too. But I really want to see more stuff that will like actually scare me.
Has anything really scared you that you've seen?
Yeah. One of the first, the second ever non-musical play I ever saw on Broadway was the original Broadway production of The Pillow Man. It was in the Booth Theater, which is already a kind of like intimate theater.
Yes.
And there was just like a lighting trick that like it was basically it was a film cut. I think the director was John Tiffany. Yeah, that sounds
That
right.
sounds correct. Yeah. Yeah.
But he just made a really quick lighting cue that acted as if it was a jump scare cut, and it scared the living crap out of me. And I just want to know how I can get people to be scared like that again. Yeah, I'm really interested in horror theater, and trying to. I have a secret dream to do a production of The Secret Garden and really lean into the gothic horror elements of it. Because I mean, if for those of you who know the musical Secret Garden, it's such a beautiful musical.
Yes.
But it's a ghost story, and it's about people that are haunted by their pasts. And it's in this big manor. And I'm like, let's just figure out a way to like make it really creepy and scary. Yeah, theater that allows for magical elements. I mean, coming up soon. I actually just saw a Philadelphia production of it in Hawthorne Park this past weekend, but Passover. So I think Philly did the last production before it comes to Broadway, or the last professional production. But yeah, go see Passover on Broadway. It's a beautiful play, but there's also, and I know Antoinette Nwandu is going to like rewrite the ending and everything, but like there's some like really. It's not only just a really great, beautifully written play, but there's like some really great stage magic happening in that play too. That I feel like we don't really get to see unless it's like a big musical or something like that. Yeah.
True. Wow. And you're just always, I feel like you're always, well, obviously now we know you read 1 to 2 plays a day, which I'm floored. You're seeing things all the time. And I also just feel like you know everybody. Is it just like you said before, like keeping up with things online? Is that how you're kind of like knowing what to go see?
Yeah, keeping up with things online, but also telling people a lot of great friendships. See, this is something I've worked on in therapy and coaching over the past year, but like looking at the idea of like how do I cultivate like authentic relationships and not just networking relationships. We're in an industry where it's so hard to like draw that line of like, okay, so who are my friends and who are the people that like I just really love their work and want to support them and everything like that. And it's great where like sometimes like that can blend, that can evolve into something. Like I mean, my best friend and a friend of yours, Hayani Cantasano. She is my best friend, and our relationship started because I saw her in a play, and I'm like, I really liked what you did, and we just kept talking. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I have a lot of really great relationships with people that just started from, hey, I really like your work. And when you express interest in what people do, it took me a while, and it's something I still deal with like imposter syndrome stuff. I'm like, oh, but they're never going to want to know about what I do. But usually they do want to know about what I do. And then we find out how much we have in common. And then we just become friends. Reach out to people you admire. Because like I said, they'll probably want to hear it and they'll probably get back to you. The worst that's going to happen is they won't get back to you. And boundaries are good. They'll set a boundary and say like, hey, I would love to talk to you. I'm just not in a great space right now or I don't have a lot of time, but let's do that. Sometimes I would take that as like, oh my gosh, but like, yes, we got to set boundaries with each other. And I'm trying not to think of it as like, oh, it's like just superficial theater relationships where I'm like, no, I love theater. Theater makes me happy. So yeah, I'm going to make my friends through the theater because yes, I know we need to get better at thinking of it as a job that we need to get compensated for.
Yes.
I'm still very happy to like volunteer my time to do stuff, but I'm trying to get better at like, I really should be compensated for my work too. Like I said, there's just nothing like us. There's nothing like us theater people.
It's so true. And like I was gonna say, how lucky are we that a lot of us are still in the place where we're like, sure, I want to get paid, but I will also do things for free because I love it. And we all really like each other. That's so rare. Like,
yeah, my friend Jose Solis, he's a really great critic. And I mean, I'm not going to quote him exactly. But like pre-pandemic, he would see close to like over 200 shows a year. And people would just be like, well, like, why? Like, he's just like, I'm happiest when I'm at the theater. So that wouldn't it make sense for me to be there as much as I can? Yeah.
I have a little bit of that syndrome too, where I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, this is my job. I'm not allowed to like this as much anymore. I'm not
Yeah.
allowed to be as nerdy about this as I was when I was younger.
Mhm.
No, I'm the same. I'm the same. Like
Yeah.
I'm the same, and that's okay.
And it might a big part of it might have to do that, like, I'm kind of like a behind the scenes person. Like, I'm not on stage, so I'm not getting judged that way. I'm not like a playwright. I mean, I direct sometimes, but like, I'm not in one of those big positions where like a bad review could kill my career, or like, I'm just like, I can kind of just like float from project to project and like do so. Like, I feel like I feel like it has not been spoiled for me.
And may it never be. And I don't think
May
it
it
ever
never
will
be.
be. Because every time I talk to you about it, it just makes me feel so good about it too. And like, so that is like such a wonderful, heartwarming note to end this on. We're going to link everything that has to do with you in the description so people can find you and talk to you about theater
Yeah.
or get monologues with you or just be your friend or all of it, like you just said so beautifully.
Or
Like,
all
that's
of it. I'm not sick of Zoom calls yet. So please, let's have Zoom coffee soon too.
that's how we really got to know each other, and you suggested it. So that's another thing, people.
Yeah.
Ask people to Zoom coffee. It still works. It's still good.
I love that too.
Thank you so much. You are just a gem. You make me feel happy every time I talk to you. If anybody has any additional questions, hit us up on social media. We will link that below as well. And like, hopefully we can all keep connecting. Good night, sweet Shaun. Love you.
Good night.